Welcome back to JEE Blunders, where you learn the don'ts first. So today we'll be deriving the expression for the volume of a hemisphere from first principles. So you guys are probably like, the volume of the hemisphere is 2 by 3 pi r cube, right? So why is the derivation even important? But hopefully as we work through this example, you'll understand that it's actually quite important. So let's get going. So the hemisphere is basically, if you can imagine this, it's what you get when you stack several disks of different radii together. So the disk, you have one disk of radius r at the bottom. You have another disk of slightly smaller radius, and another disk on top of that of slightly smaller radius, till you get to the top where you have a disk of zero radius, right? A disk of zero radius is nothing but a point. So a hemisphere is what you get when you stack disks of varying radii one on top of the other. So this is crucial when it comes to the derivation. So let's consider the volume of one of those disks at a distance x from the center. Right. So what is the radius of this disk? So let me actually draw the disk. So it's going to be something like this. That's actually, yeah. So the disk is going to look something like this. Okay. So what is the radius of this disk? Well, we know that this is x, and this is going to be r, the radius of the hemisphere. And so if you look at this triangle right here, this is a right angle triangle. So which means this length is going to be square root of r squared minus x squared, right? And let's say the thickness of this element is dx. So the thickness is dx. So its volume is going to be dV, which is the elemental volume, is going to be pi times the radius of the, it's a cylinder, right? So it's pi times the radius of the cylinder squared times the height of the cylinder, which is dx. And that's it. When you have x is 0, you're covering the disk at the bottom, and slowly as you increase x and go all the way to x is r, which is this point here, you cover the disk at the top, which is basically a point. So what we have to do is to integrate this from x equals 0 to x equals r. So if you do this integral, you can take pi outside, r squared x times r, so that's r cube minus integral x squared dx, x cube by 3 from 0 to r, so r cube by 3, which gives us 2 by 3 pi r cube. So this is correct. I mean, this is what we have heard from probably class 7 or so. But let's actually try to do it by another way and see if we get the same answer. So again, we use the same analogy. We'll be considering several disks stacked on one on top of the other. So let's consider one of those disks at an angle theta from the horizontal. Right? Okay, so let me draw the disk again. Right? So we have the disk, the elemental disk. Alright. So what is the radius of this elemental disk? So once again, let's construct our triangle. So this is a right angle triangle. This is r. So this has to be r cos theta. Alright. And we also know that if this is r and this is theta, that this tiny length over here will be r d theta. This is from the definition of a radian, right? or the definition of, well, yeah, from the definition of radian. So now we have what we have what we had here, right? We have the radius of the elemental disk and we have the thickness of the elemental disk. So dV is pi times the I mean it's the volume of the cylinder, so it's pi radius of the cylinder squared times the thickness of the cylinder, r d theta. And to get the total volume, we integrate this from theta equals 0 covers this disk, this elemental disk, and theta equals 90 covers this point, right? So if you integrate, you don't have to integrate from 0 to 180, right? Because let's consider this disk. So you're covering the volume on this side as well. So hope you understand that you don't have to integrate from 0 to pi, but just 0 to pi by 2. So you have pi r cube integral 0 to pi by 2 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2 d theta. Pi r cube by 2 times theta plus sine 2 theta by 2 from 0 to pi by 2, and that is yes, that is pi squared r cube by 4, which is clearly not the expression we've been hearing all of these years. But what exactly was wrong with this derivation? See, the reason this derivation is important is in physics chapters like gravitation and electrostatics, you'll be given charge distributions or mass distributions of hemispheres, who knows, and some of them may not always be uniform, so you'll actually have to set up these integrals to solve such problems. And when you do that, you need to be careful about how you choose these elements, right? Because see, clearly they're giving different answers. So which one of these is correct? So hope you understand why this derivation was important, and I'll be happy to know your views on these and as to which one of these is actually correct. And before we finish, I just like to leave you with one question. If you had to find the surface area of a hemisphere, which method would you choose? Method 1 or method 2? See you in the next video.